The year is 1918. Europe is silent, but not at peace, only exhausted. The Great War has ended, leaving millions dead and entire landscapes scarred beyond recognition. Soldiers return home to ruins, families shattered, and economies in collapse. The great empires, Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, Russian, have vanished, replaced by fragile new nations. Societies mourn their losses, struggling to find meaning in the devastation. People yearn for a peace that will last, hoping the suffering was not in vain. Yet beneath the hope, anger and resentment simmer. Victors seek punishment. The defeated feel humiliation and bitterness. The world is fractured, politically, emotionally and economically. Upon this unstable ground, leaders must attempt to build a new future. The peace to come will be shaped as much by these wounds as by any treaty. In 1919, the victors gather at Versailles to dictate peace. The treaty brands Germany solely responsible for the war, stripping it of territory, colonies and military power. Crushing reparations and the war guilt clause fuel German outrage. The Weimar Republic, forced to sign, is tainted from birth. For Germans, Versailles is a humiliation, not reconciliation. Extremists exploit this anger, promising to overturn the treaty. Instead of healing, the treaty sows seeds of future conflict. A peace built on punishment proves dangerously unstable. The Roaring Twenties dazzle with jazz and new freedoms, but beneath the surface, Europe is unstable. Economic recovery is uneven. War debts and reparations strain nations. In Germany, hyperinflation wipes out savings and the middle class. Social unrest and political violence erupt across the continent. Italy's crisis paves the way for Mussolini's fascist regime. In Germany, the Weimar Republic faces constant threats from both left and right. The prosperity is fragile, a thin veneer over deep anxiety. Faith in democracy erodes as people seek radical solutions. Extremist ideologies gain ground, promising order and scapegoats. The decade is less a celebration of peace than a tense pause. The unresolved wounds of war fester just beneath the surface. Europe's foundations are trembling, setting the stage for upheaval. The Great Depression strikes in 1929, shattering economies worldwide. Factories close, unemployment soars, and despair spreads. In Germany, 1 in 3 is jobless. Poverty and hopelessness deepen. Democratic governments seem powerless, fueling anger and fear. Extremist leaders offer simple answers and scapegoats. Hitler's Nazi party surges, promising national rebirth and revenge. In Japan, the military gains power, pushing for expansion. The Depression doesn't create extremism, but it gives it mass support. The political centre collapses, societies polarize. Economic catastrophe accelerates the march toward dictatorship and war. As democracy falters, fascism and Nazism rise. Mussolini's Italy becomes a model of authoritarian rule, glorifying the state and violence. Hitler exploits Germany's chaos, promising jobs, order and revenge against Versailles. In 1933, he seizes power, swiftly dismantling democracy. Japan's military, driven by nationalism, invades Manchuria in 1931. These regimes share intense nationalism, militarism and contempt for democracy. They glorify war and form alliances, united by a desire to overturn the world order. The rise of these powers transforms international politics. The world edges closer to conflict as aggression goes unchecked. The League of Nations, born from hope, is crippled from the start. The US refuses to join, weakening its authority. The League has no army, relying on reluctant Britain and France. Japan's 1931 invasion of Manchuria exposes the League's impotence. Condemnation is ignored. Sanctions are weak or absent. Mussolini's conquest of Ethiopia in 1935 is met with inaction. The League's promise of collective security collapses. Aggressors learn they can act without consequence. The world's faith in international law is shattered. The stage is set for unchecked expansion and war. With the League powerless, Britain and France turn to appeasement. Haunted by World War I, they hope concessions will satisfy Hitler. Hitler violates Versailles, rebuilding Germany's military and remilitarizing the Rhineland. Each bold move is met with protest, but no action. In 1938, Hitler annexes Austria and demands the Sudetenland. At Munich, Britain and France give in, sacrificing Czechoslovakia for peace. Hitler's ambitions are underestimated. Each concession emboldens him. The West mistakes limited demands for ultimate goals. Appeasement delays war but strengthens Germany. The cost lost allies, emboldened aggression and a more dangerous enemy. The gamble for peace only makes the coming conflict harder. Europe stands on the brink. After seizing Czechoslovakia, Hitler's next target is Poland. Britain and France, finally resolute, guarantee Poland's security. Hitler signs a non-aggression pact with the Soviet Union, secretly agreeing to divide Eastern Europe. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invades Poland with blitzkrieg tactics. The Polish army is overwhelmed. The world watches. Britain and France declare war on Germany 2 days later. The uneasy peace of 2 decades is shattered. The failures of Versailles, economic despair, and unchecked aggression converge. The Second World War begins, more global and devastating than the First. The hopes of 1918 are buried beneath the thunder of war. History's warnings have gone unheeded. The interwar years teach hard lessons. Peace built on humiliation breeds resentment and future conflict. Economic hardship erodes faith in democracy and fuels extremism. Ignoring aggression only emboldens the aggressor. International security depends on collective will and early action. The path from 1918 to 1939 is a story of missed chances and fatal misjudgments. Peace demands vigilance, empathy and courage, qualities too often lacking. The echoes of these failures still warn us. How we end one conflict shapes the next.